Joe Biden feeling the heat over the Ukraine scandal. The controversy now threatening to derail his presidential campaign. Here's why. If Democrats plow ahead on impeachment, Joe and his son Hunter could be forced to testify in an official Senate trial. And now Lindsey Graham is offering Rudy Giuliani the chance to testify before his committee about potential Biden wrongdoing. And that's just the beginning of Sleepy Joe's troubles. He's got another huge problem. Big money Democrat donors who are reportedly frustrated over his many gaffes, disastrous debate performances, and how he's handling Trump's attacks. So far, Biden's main response to the Ukraine controversy is rage.
Look, here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader? You should be looking at Trump. Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum. It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done.
And just breaking, the White House sending a letter to House Democrats demanding they drop impeachment. The letter calling the inquiry constitutionally invalid, unfair, and an attempt to overturn the 2016 election and influence 2020. And says they will not comply with this impeachment inquiry. All right, so the New York Times over the weekend, Dana, came out with this big story about how Biden's reaction was a case study in political indecision, and he just struggled to meet the moment. He waited a week or two to do anything, and at the end, he just yelled at a reporter and put out an op-ed. I mean, an op-ed? Where's he been?
Right. And the Biden campaign said, "You too, New York Times? I can't even believe you're doing this to me." For the quotes in the article that I thought were the most troubling if I was a Biden person are the ones that are anonymous from the donors. Now, donors don't always have the best feel for what needs to happen on a campaign. They will always call you up and say you need to be doing something different than you are. But you don't see this kind of thing for Warren, Mayor Pete, even Harris or Booker, who has not been able to raise a lot of money. Klobuchar, you don't actually see blind quotes in a paper basically saying they're screwing this up. And I think that's often because you have donors who have friendships with people in the media, and they want to be the one. They want to be called upon in the future, so they're basically trying to show their cards that they're about to turn. Then they're going to pivot away from him. And that's what I would be worried about if I were the Biden team.
And some of them have been pivoting away because he did not have the fundraising he expected. Remember when Biden said, you know, he wants to meet Donald Trump outside the gym and he's going to knock him out? Well, Donald's been waiting outside the gym, and where's Joe been?
I said this last week, or maybe it was a week before, I can't remember. Biden's cozy, swampy nepotism resonates far more clearly than Trump's inquiries about it. Right? This is a conflict of interest based on favors for his incompetent son. If Biden is beholden to China or to Ukraine, shouldn't the media welcome this inquiry? After all, they spent 3 years talking about collusion and obstruction. Shouldn't they want to revisit this relationship if it had an impact on an election? Of course, in between your writing of books about Russian collusion, maybe you could look into this. I know you're still working on your advance, getting your advance for your book on Russia, but you could actually do this. But this, you know what Biden reminds me of? I'm playing up because you told a nice story yesterday about buying throwing stars. Yeah. So when I was living in London, I was invited to play soccer among a group of high school kids. And I decided to play because I had played soccer before, and I felt like, yeah, I could handle this. And I'm in my head on the sidelines, I'm watching them play, and I'm going, you know, I could pass and score among these guys. I might even impress them. You know, the moment I set foot on the field, I was like a tackling dummy. They just went around me. I looked like a tackling dummy in sunglasses. I was completely out of my league. That is Biden now. When he was on the sidelines, he saw that he could compete and he could play. Now he's in the game, and he can't keep up. And it's noticeable. I feel like when you're walking around him, you want to tighten every bolt with an Allen wrench because he's just all shaky and stuff. And I think he's going to be out in a few months.
Yeah, he's definitely on the decline. Juan, this letter that just came out calling the whole thing constitutionally illegitimate, saying it's rigged against the president and Republicans. Adam Schiff, who's leading it, is tainted. He can't be trusted. And basically throwing down the gauntlet says put up or shut up to the Democrats.
I think you could throw that letter in the trash. I mean, I guess that's in the president's great and unmatched wisdom, as he advertised.
Very stable genius,
Very
Juan.
stable genius. And now he has his lawyers putting out letters. I don't know. I guess it's really, you know, it's supposedly addressed to the Democrats. I think it's really intended for Republicans. But I think the Biden story, just let me comment on that before I come back to that letter, Jesse. I think that it's very interesting that in polls that are out today, for the first time you see Elizabeth Warren as the #1 Democrat in the polls. This is the Quinnipiac poll, has her at 29, Joe Biden at 26. And now in the Real Clear Politics average, she's, you know, it's clearly within the margin of error. I think it's 0.2% ahead of Joe Biden. To me, that's much more interesting. Let me just go a little bit further on that. Her gain is not coming out of Joe Biden. Her gain is coming out of people like Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg. They are going down. We are now down to a three-way race, which is Biden, Warren, and Bernie Sanders, who recently was ill with a heart attack. We'll see how he does, if he can get the energy up for the upcoming debate. But to me, this is shaping up as a three-way race. Now, if we go back to this letter, it seems to me Biden may not be doing so great. And by the way, all these donors, they're nervous Nellies all the time. They're always nervous, and they want Biden to be more combative from your perspective. They want him to really go after Trump in a vicious way, and Biden is just not that guy right now.
Well, you'd think if someone, Jedediah, was going after your integrity, when was going after your family, you might come out of hibernation and throw a few punches. But instead, he's just waited for the media to defend him.
Well, the thing is, he is combative, like pointing his finger in reporters' faces. He's combative in the wrong way. He looks like a guy who's already lost. He's very defensive. He's on defense all the time. He's worried about his son's business dealings. He's worried about Elizabeth Warren. And the problem is that all of the worry shows in every interaction he has. When he gets on a debate stage, he doesn't look confident. He doesn't look like he's in control. Many people cannot even cite what Joe Biden would actually do as president. He's so unable to really prioritize what his stand on the issues is because he's so worried about all these things. Once I saw that op-ed in the Washington Post come out, I said to myself, this guy doesn't even know how to create a populist grassroots movement. He is back in a political time when you would hand over talking points to the Washington Post and try to sell yourself that way, and that would be successful. That's not how it goes anymore. Now you're going against the likes of Warrens and Sanders, who have that populist energy, who know how to tap into a crowd. And he's lost. And now you have donors come out and looking at him and saying, this guy's not able to defend this issue with Ukraine, and he's not able to defend his own record. He's not able to defend himself on a stage. Where is he going to shine in the end that's going to enable us to feel confident to hand over our case?
You know who won't defend him?
He's not doing it.
You know who won't defend him besides himself?
Obama.
Barack Obama. Where's Obama been? I mean, there have been accusations that Barack Obama's vice president is involved with some very, very sketchy stuff overseas, right under his nose, and he hasn't said one word. I'm just wondering if he's going to.
Can I mention
Sure,
one thing
please.
about the New York? So the New Yorker writes this piece in July. It was very long. It was about Hunter Biden, and all of these allegations are laid out in the article. And Hunter Biden does an interview, and he tries to defend himself there. And what's interesting to me is that we're in the middle of the presidential election. This big, huge feature piece shows up in the New Yorker, and no one brought it up. The only time that it got attention was when President Trump brought it up, appropriately or inappropriately, on the call and whatever. That is the only time that the media then started to actually take action about it. What surprises me is that the Biden campaign didn't have something ready, knowing that that New Yorker piece was coming out.
I think
because
this
they
is
didn't
part
have to.
of the failure of Democrats to know how to deal with this kind of onslaught that comes from the conspiracy theory crowd on the right.
Well, they could actually look at themselves because they've been doing it for 3 years. This is the beautiful irony of all of this. I feel bad for Joe, but I really don't, because they made their bed. The media and the Democrats attempt to undo an election in 2016, and now the slow-rolling orchestrated coup is coming back, and it's going to suck him in. And what you're going to have left is Liz Warren, who used Native Americans and her own child to fabricate devices to portray her as a victim. I'm waiting for her to be like Steve Martin in The Jerk, in which he just says, I was born a poor black child.
I would like that.